Do you mind? I'm meeting someone. Shh. No names, okay? The Phoenix is a wanted man, and the board has eyes everywhere in Byzantium. Yeah, you're looking to make contact with Minister... Magpie, right? I should warn you, it won't be easy. He spends most of his time in his estate, which is heavily guarded. Whoa, I'm not one of your B&E specialists. I just provide intelligence. Some of the guards hang around Billingsley's House of Inebriation between shifts.
That place is still open? I used to study there during medical school.
Maybe you could do some reconnaissance there. You know, swipe a key while nobody's looking. Whatever. I'm better with bird terms. I've always been fascinated by birds. If you ever research Earth species, there are thousands of them, so colorful and distinct. The other thing about birds, though, is their environmental indicators. Exactly. I started thinking about everything we see around Halcyon, and all the things we don't see. For starters, you rarely come across anyone living in Byzantium who wasn't born here, even though we get ships in all the time.
Trust me, anyone with a lick of sense gets out of here as soon as possible.
But most people don't. In fact, most people stay exactly where they start. Doesn't that seem strange to you? And then there's the way nothing gets fixed. There used to be a suggestion box around here. People would drop ideas in. Nothing ever came of them, of course. Sure, that part is. That's why they install shredders in those boxes, after all. But one day the shredder broke. No one came to fix it. And since it wasn't working, we didn't have anywhere to file our complaints. So you can imagine how messy things got. At first, management put up an out-of-order sign, but that just seemed to worry people, like they were advertising something wasn't working.
Why would the Golden City need suggestions for improvement?
It's really so people can feel heard. Everyone's got something to complain about, you know? They eventually took the whole suggestion box sign down so that people didn't have any expectations about it. But they never fixed it, never replaced it. Doesn't that seem odd to you? I don't know how else people are supposed to complain about things they can't change, but that's not the point. The whole episode made me wonder, if they can't fix something as simple as a suggestion box, what else aren't they fixing? After a while, I got connected with our mutual friend and started using my position here to feed him information when I could. That's it, really.
I'll keep it down. They can't keep us out.
Still tinkering with that?
It's not gonna fix itself.
Don't we have repair drones?
can't something exciting happen around here for once?
Nothing wrong with stability.
Cleo's level head.
It means everything's
Feeling a little
running.
off balance? You need a level head.
Don't you ever watch...
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Want to be famous?
Anti-Cleo's energizing ointment. Enjoy 6 cups worth of concentrated caffeine in every dollop.
According to local legend, if you walk around the orrery 3 times, your corporate rival will die of a paper cut.
Actually took over the refinery. I can't believe it.
Looking for weapons? You've come to the right place. Every Byzantine needs... Why? To defend their...
50-bit says he's got a hard on right now.
Marauders, dissidents, especially large sprats. One... Only because we make it so. It is only the fear of the well-armed...
I can honestly say I'm personally terrified at the thought of someone such as yourself wielding a high-powered weapon.
And you're here to buy a weapon, are you not?
Spacer's Choice Tartarus Sauce. A tangy sauce made with real atmospheric... Contaminants from Tartarus. Great on fish sticks.
I'm afraid I can't come down anymore, my good man. I'd have to request a counter waiver, and you know how dreadful the paperwork is. Sounds like...
All right, how does this...
Rizzo's mock apple cider.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Citizens, today marks a monumentous occasion in the course of Halcyon history. After a deep and thorough examination of our budgets, revenue streams, and predictive models, we are publishing our yearly success report. Profits are soaring, promotions abound. Thanks to your continued hard work, Halcyon is healthier and more productive than ever. In the coming months, Byzantium will be sure to see the many rewards reaped from your diligent labor. Once we nail down the details...
Sure, they look fancy, but inside... There's my parents' place. Smell that? Industrial-grade cleaning solvent and desperation.
That's not all I smell.
Marilyn, is that you?
Loss! We certainly didn't expect to see you like this. And I didn't expect you to renew your marriage contract. But we're all full of surprises today, aren't we? Speaking of surprises, you should meet my new friend. We've been running around the system for a while now, stirring up all sorts of trouble. I don't know what to say. He's usually not like this. Come on, you're supposed to help me make an impression. Anyway, you're probably wondering where I've been all this time.
Not exactly.
The last few years have been a bloody haze. You wouldn't believe the messes we've gotten ourselves into. Right? Come on, try to get into it a little more.
Marilyn, this really isn't the best time. Perhaps you should go.
We'll stay as long as we like. And while we're at it, we'll drink your expensive hooch, wear our outside shoes all over your nice floors. He's right. Since when can you afford authentic Terran marble?
That's what we've been trying to tell you, dear, but you must understand, we hadn't heard from you in ages.
We thought you were dead. I'm not dead. I just never wanted to talk to you again.
I'm afraid the distinction was lost on us, darling.
We only did what any grieving parents in our position would do. We collected on your life insurance policy.
And the payouts have been rather, substantial.
You what? Of course. And we shall always harbor that joyful secret deep within our hearts. And you'll report it to the insurance company, right?
It's not that simple. For one thing, we'd have to cut back on so many necessities. The neighbors would be sure to notice.
Damn right, Captain. Fine. I'm gone. Forever this time. Let's talk outside. Don't know how you managed to get Zora and Sanjar in the same room. Can you believe those two? We'd hardly been there a minute and they turned us out like yesterday. But not like I wanted. They'd both be sitting there watching one of their Mother would drop her mock. I'd have a great one-liner in the tube. I was thinking either the leather's fake. Father would throw his hands up, because this would be just like me, to come back and make a big scene. Then... I just didn't want... Hey, the last thing I want to do is sit around thinking about all this. Wait a sec. Want to bet? I could open a new account, designate that account holder as a sole beneficiary thing, and I'll get to cut them off. My policy is with the Greater Halcyon Insurance Group. They have an... Maybe you could use some of your people skill. If that doesn't work, I'm sure we can...
You cannot understand the problem until you free yourself from the desire for an answer.
Out with it, you wretched contraption! Does nothing in this city work anymore?
I'm on my legally allotted break. Really, I'm supposed to be here. Oh, what are you doing here? Well, there's nothing to see here. Nope. Laws I knew. I work in the lab at the Ministry of Accuracy and Morale. Some of my sprats went missing, but it's not my fault, okay? Maybe I let them out more often than regulations allow, but they need to stretch their little legs. And so what if I occasionally forgot to latch their cage? Everyone gets a little distracted now and then. They escaped, and before I could coax... Even if I did dare go down there, they're among all the common sewer sprats and Really? In that case, take this collection crate. 6 of my little ones are down there, but don't worry. They have intelligent eyes. An agreeable yet Please. Well, to maintain things, of course. Like big and pipes. Everyone knows sewer sprats carry diseases. And the exterminate... You're my...
From a few weeks ago was supposedly based on a real incident.
guess we're going to Fallbrook.
Anti-Cleo's antibiotics.
Ooh, down there, a new ship. Doesn't look like any of the corporate freighters.
But what would they be doing here?
And how did we ever get
Try Anti-Cleo's. It's better than nature.
I only wish they weren't showing so many Spacer's Choice ads.
Have you tried our new cocktail sponsored by Rizzo's? Then you'll want to speak with... Quite so, but I would never lower myself to do something as gauche as tending bar. Oh, but I don't believe in work. Work? By automechanicals, of course. We all have our roles in society. I like to think of myself as an Rizzo's Spectrum Vodka.
It is endlessly fascinating to me that all of existence is simply atoms, molecules, and chemical reactions, which in turn create and govern our bodies, minds, and emotions. And yet somehow, we still believe we are in control.
This reminds me of... Oh, never mind.
Understood. I'll keep my head down. After Cascadia in 1084, I was expecting this. Chartrand is a thing.
That's far enough. What are you doing here? How did you even get inside? You're in my house, and I'm not fucking around. Start talking. My what conspiracy? Let's talk about this. Please, I think there's been a crucial misunderstanding. If you came looking for some elaborate scheme, it isn't here. All I'm doing is trying to keep Halcyon alive.
What are you doing, Doctor? This information is beyond classified.
You can write me up in your report. It hardly matters. I'm researching a new way to feed the colony. The crops we transplanted from Earth don't give us the nutrients we need. Our colonists might not realize it yet, but they're starving. Our produce might get us through the day, but we're getting weaker as a species, and sicker.
Lack of nutrition also spread like a sickness through Edgewater.
The lack of usable nutrients is compromising our immune systems. Under these conditions, even the common cold could seem like a plague. The food we grow here barely sustains human life. The colony won't last under these conditions. So, the board let me approach the problem from a different angle. I believed that I could adapt humans to live on Halcyon's terms. That I could change us. Give us the ability to derive sustenance from the nutrients the food does have. I know. I was there. Thomas was the first to take the gas. A simple test, he said. I told him not to, but he insisted. We learned a lot from his autopsy. Enough that we could try it on each other and know when to stop. No one else died. I must find a cure so his sacrifice isn't in vain. There are other teams. We didn't want to experiment on human test subjects, so we used the only resources we had. Each other. I'm desperate. I've already asked all the best institutes on Earth for help. Years ago, we sent a message out on the Cornelius Vanderbilt, but heard nothing back. Once we can replicate a success, the board will move to rewire our nucleon. With any luck, our next generation will be eating and thriving off halcyon crops.
Knowing what the board considers a success, that doesn't give me a lot of hope.
We haven't made enough strides to advance the plan. Hardly any at all. But we have to keep trying. If I die, there's no one who can reproduce our work. Every sacrifice will have been for nothing. And we'll be no closer to a solution that feeds the colony.
I try not to, least when it comes to the moral dilemmas. Lilia Hagen's a useful ally to have, but I'll back you up either way.
I hope you know what you're doing, Captain. I leave it in your hands.
It may not be pretty, but we risk the colony's downfall if we hinder the Doctor's research.
Everything I did was for the good of the colony. Consider that.
Here they come!
So, Vicky. Can I call you Vicky?
Of course. You may address me however you wish.
Vicky, huh? Okay, Vicky it is. You're really gonna let me run with that, aren't you?
Why wouldn't I?
Clearing queued security systems. Control reset. Security.
That does it. Time for a drink? Get our hands dirty.
Oh. Damage system.
Someone else will clean this up, right? Okay.
a man of the cloth.
Any luck finding my... Truly? Oh, dear, it looks like some of my... Thank you for your... Now, I've got...
Your best find this week.
I've always loved that sculpture.
It's an honor.
You, with the hips. Over here. Let me take a closer look at you.
Dr. Fenhill, have you ever contemplated the fact that we have no direct experience of our own heads?
As usual, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So many yearn for the opportunity.
Hey!
Of course not. The others took me out to celebrate. Oh, Oh, you definitely right.
He's basically the most important person in the colony, which makes me the most important guard in the colony. Yeah. That means I gotta keep... That's right. That's a great... Here's to me. Hey, you're really great. Have I told you that? We should be friends. Wow, listen to me. I'm soaked. I should probably slow down before I'm face down. It's not every day you get your dream job, right? Wow, you got like this crazy... Oh, Laws, I gotta stop. I'm seeing at least... I really shouldn't...
Nonsense. You've got another in you. Doctor's orders.
Guess I can't argue. Yeah. What's up? I don't feel... I just need to sit down.
You must be joking. Our fair city is being overrun by a pox of vagrants and undesirables, and your plan is to sit up. Oh, there! That's one right there. Can't you just see the stench of impropriety radiating off of him?
For the last time, access to Byzantium is impossible without a proper nav key. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to be somewhere else. Anywhere else.
How splendid. Another rung leech wandering through the streets of Byzantium. Why, just this morning I thought to myself, as lovely as the gardens are, what they really need is more greasy vagrants frolicking through them. And here you are, frolicking.
I must be honest with you, Captain. Yes.
Well, whatever you call it, do it elsewhere, and take your merry band with you. Honestly, what is the board thinking letting so many of your ilk into the city proper? It's madness. I earned my place here, just like everyone else. My grandfather was the CIO at Tile, you see. Chief Idea Officer. He came up with all the best ideas for their products. You know the font they use for Stogie Slims? That was him. Well, he described the idea of it to their font development team, then picked it from a list of choices, but that's basically the same thing. It was a very long list. I just told you. My grandfather made millions of bits as CIO, and I earned them from him. You're welcome. Now, do we have any further business, or are you just here for the repartee? What's wrong? It erodes the very pillar. This city is meant for us, the system's finest. We earned its love. But now we are overrun with the unworthy and the... Oh, do spare me your petty judgment. It's beneath me. Million... By simply winning a lottery, those early retired... Tell me. Oh, by the law. I mean the principle of it, not the mechanics. It's not right. I deserve to see any district I please. Why, if it weren't guarded, I'd... You know, you look like you've been shot at before. What say I hire you to investigate this travesty, and you get paid to do so?
Oh, we get paid this time. I like this plan.
Yes. Listen to your... What is that person's job exactly? Are they your secretary? Personal masseuse? Or do you just keep them around as a mobile armrest? Well, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you think this is a fabulous arrangement, and you'd be thrilled to lend me your services. Aren't you? Fantastic. Consider yourself employed, vagrant. I hear the chosen retirees all enter the retirement district via the port landing pad, but it's completely locked down. You'd never get in that way. Unless, of course, you had a wealthy, beautiful benefactor of impeccable social pedigree, which you do. How fortunate for you. These codes will get you past the lockdown. Oh, and don't worry about subtlety. I don't care how you deal with security, just correct this injustice at all costs.
This property is off limits. Solicitors, loiterers, and uninvited visitors will be fined to the fullest extent of company policy. This ultimatum brought to you by Universal Defense Logistics. That's funny. The minister isn't expecting visitors, and you don't much look like one of those couriers from HPS. Minister Clark's a private man, and you're asking too many questions.
So, you threw off the constraints of proper society and abandoned a life of luxury to live as an outlaw.
You finally get me, Vicar.
I not only get you, I applaud you. Not many would have had the courage to turn their back on luxury. Not to speak of the pressure you must have been under to fulfill the role you'd been assigned. Any regrets? Thoughts of not belonging, of... I'll keep quiet.
Real slick.
Understood. On my way.
You got it.
Be right there. Is one healthy if they are well adjusted to a sick society?
There's nothing to see here. Move along.
You know, that's just the sort of thing folks say when they're trying to hide something.
I have no idea what you're Yeah? Let's see it. Looks like your papers are... Alright, go on through.
Nothing exciting ever happens around here.
How did you get in here? You!
You're not one of my guards. What are you doing here? Minister Clark, what a remarkable honor it is to meet you.
So, this is one of the guys who runs the colony, huh? Small room for a big shot.
If this is about another Aetherwave clip or radio spot, you may kindly fuck off, as the parlance goes. I'm not doing any more. Drugs, of course. What else would it be? I don't have any drugs. You should try a vending machine or a purveyor of curative goods.
I don't know if our chemicals are here, but this guy is definitely not.
Will that be all, then? Oh dear, I don't think I can say this any more slowly. Unless... Of course! It's Rockwell again, who else? And I thought he was only holding me here to keep me out of the way. You are a quick study, indeed. I've long suspected Rockwell of transacting business in my name, but this proves it. He's attempting to game the system, but he won't be able to get away with it forever. Eventually, Rockwell's house of cards will topple. I dearly hope so, and you might be part of the equation. Whatever it is that brought you here, Rockwell's the one behind it. Whatever Rockwell's doing, he'll be doing it from the HHC headquarters. Your best lead is to look for details in his office. Captain, we must investigate Rockwell. An injustice like this cannot go unchecked. Indeed, it cannot. I can't overstate the urgency of the matter.
We really gonna do this? Getting involved is a messy business, and it rarely pays.
This is about more than bits. This is about the survival of the colony. If you don't help, who will? Why, this is starting to sound like an issue of Dissident Hunter. Via the Acropolis District, of course. That's where the most important corporate and government facilities are. But only board employees are allowed into the district. There's a heavily guarded checkpoint just down the street. There might be a route through the maintenance tunnels, but I'm afraid I don't know specifics. Most people avoid the area for obvious reasons. Well, you won't have much human company down there. Plenty of sprats and automechanicals, though. When you reach the HHC building, this access card should get you up to the executive suites, where the chairman's office and what used to be my office are. Wait! Rockwell has one of the only terminals capable of transmitting to the Earthbound message drone. This is our chance. Please, take this and transmit it from his office. Rockwell hasn't given me any messages from Earth for years. He's desperate to keep me out of... But they need to know what's... Good. Halcyon is in...
What's gone into Bachmine?
CNP Borsted Baked Beans. When you need to eat and run, Borsted Baked Beans is the only one.
The dissidents actually took
Anti-Creo's ketchup. Organic.
If I
beans,
spit,
handmade,
you think I can hit that
gluten-free,
mechanical
nut-free.
down there?
That's the last of them.
Finally. Is it just me, or are we getting more and more retirees lately?
Not just you. Felt like a damn factory worker these last
Yeah, they're closed. Someone saw a sprat in there.
Bijou's too? Damn.
Welcome to the Halcyon Holdings Corporation Early Retirement Center. You, the lucky few, have been selected to spend the rest of your days living the high life in your own private district in Byzantium. When you arrive, you'll be whisked away to your very own luxury penthouse, furnished exclusively by 24/7 Furniture's deluxe Falscowood collection. Some assembly required. 24/7 Furniture is not responsible for any injury, psychological damage, or divorce. After you get settled in, you'll have the chance to explore your new home. Why not go for a bite at one of our many restaurants, like CNP's Blazing Borscht Barbecue or Rizzo's All-You-Can-Crunch Cereal Buffet?
elevator go back up?
System alert. Performing. Sweeping weapon to ion. What do you think you're doing? Nothing to optically process here. Processing data. Unexpected performing. What do you think you're doing? Suspicion levels minimal. Carry on. Off.
Their mistake. Nice and easy.
What was that?
Here they come.
Take him down!
It's done for.
Making my way there!
Be right there!
Something else, Captain!
What?
What was that?
Just act like we belong.
Incoming! Your life was merely an illusion anyway.
Where were we? Just act like we belong.
What?
That's the last of them.
What's with the big hole in the wall?
afternoon. I'm Chairman Rockwell, and I'm here to address a serious issue facing us. As you all know, our colony has been successful beyond our wildest dreams. Unfortunately, we've recently discovered that our food supply will not be able to sustain Halcyon's population in the long term. Everyone will die. Everyone will slowly stop living from malnutrition. But we're doing it together, and that's what matters. I fucking swear, if someone doesn't give me something to read that will placate the masses soon, all of you will find yourselves violently unemployed. But I can assure you there's nothing to fear. We've got a solution. It's called the Lifetime Employment Program. We will freeze most of the colony to preserve resources, while the best and brightest of Byzantium continue living in prosperity. Look, you idiots! How many times do I have to tell you we can't say shit like that? Fire whoever wrote this! While Halcyon's brightest minds solve the problem of our nutritional shortage, the rest of the colony will be placed in suspended animation. Individuals will be revived on a rotating basis, so that every Halcyonite can be part of the important work of saving our colony. By testing paperweights. Sorry, couldn't resist. Let's go again. And someday, in the not-too-distant future when we've solved this crisis, we'll all be back together again working for the good of Halcyon. Until then, the board shall provide for the deserving just as it always has. So, obey your supervisors, take your vitamins, follow your corporate-mandated grooming rituals, and rest assured with the board on your side, there is nothing to worry about.
Well, that was quite distressing
Young.
Captain, could I have a moment of your time?
Please, don't! Please, please!
What was that?
Down they go!
Can't get past my armor!
I think I'm gonna start taking my lunches out in the city. That woman from downstairs is still there.
That scientist?
Hey, did Tillman get transferred or something?
What's this I hear about you ordering more tests performed with sample 4157? That batch failed spectacularly.
No visitors allowed, citizen. I'm gonna need to see some identification. Intruder!
Quite a team, my friend.
Asshole.
Keep your eyes out for dissidents.
Hold it right there. No visitors allowed. Intruder!
Incoming!
Past that armor!
Can we talk? If I still believed in the grand plan, a revelation like... Knowing you, I can only assume you have already begun formulating... I hate to contradict you by pointing out that everyone dies. But anything you...
Make him regret it.
Why, the loafers working our factory lines are practically robbing us.
It's even worse for us, my good man. Our workers, if one can call them that.
That episode from a few weeks ago was supposedly based on a real incident.
You mean the one where the dissidents blew up an orphanage?
CNP pancake mix now requires no mixing. Seriously, don't mix.
Next one! I'll take care of this.
One hit!
Some crew members are causing a disturbance. You have a message from Adjutant Sophia Akande.
No one ever looks quite the same in person as they do in my reports. And my reports of you have been exceptionally thorough. You've had quite a career. You have something I want. I'd like to negotiate. Yes, I'm aware that you stole a batch of precious chemicals and destroyed an important experiment. Enterprising of you, if irritating. My scientists tell me they'll restore the damage you've done within a matter of months. But I'm not here to talk about minor setbacks. Phineas Wells is wanted by the board. I want to convince you to turn him in to us. You're making a serious mistake.
Adjutant Akande's call.
We've arrived at Phineas's orbital lab. Nice work dispatching Chartrand, Captain. Sublight will be pleased.
Myself busy in your absence, optimized my formula. I'm now confident I can revive the remaining colonists. All I need now is the dimethyl sulfoxide. I'll take as much as you can give me. Human test subjects. Oh, that's grotesque. That's unthinkable. That's exactly what I'd expect out of the board. Thank you. You've brought me enough chemicals to get started, at least. I'm just sorry they came at the cost of human lives. Those poor people, they must have died in agony. What exactly was the board trying to accomplish? You say the board's trying to freeze their subjects over and over again without inflicting permanent damage? Well, they're nowhere close to solving that problem. Something about this feels wrong. I don't know why the board would ever conduct such an experiment, unless they're working on some kind of hibernation technology. I'll tell you this much. The board scientists are hopelessly lost. After years of fruitless experimentation, they've made exactly zero progress. I used to work for these people. I'm intimately familiar with the utter incompetence of the board's own scientists. I know! I've suspected as much for years. Of course, I don't expect the board to do a thing about it. They've been driving our colony to the brink of destruction for decades. The board's mismanagement put our colony on the road to collapse. If we don't put a stop to them, thousands of colonists are going to die. Hold on. Let me see if I understand this correctly. You're saying that Halcyon's on the brink of total collapse? I always knew Halcyon was heading toward a systems collapse, but I never imagined we were already there. The board made this crisis, and now they want to solve it by freezing the rest of us? That's not a plan. Do you realize what this... Short of lining up every member of the board and shooting them in the back of the head. The brightest minds Earth ever sent us, uncorrupted by the board. The board's going to dispose of them all and transform the Hope into a prison for the rest of us. They're likely on their way to the Hope as we need to get to those colonists before the board. I have enough chemicals to start reviving a few of them, but no easy way. Merciful gibbering law, we bring the Hope to us. Skip the entire ship across the distance. Yes, exactly. You're a step ahead of me, but I perceive the shape of your plan. If we link up the Hope to the Unreliable, then use your navigational computer to calculate a reasonably safe vector, we can skip the entire colony ship into the rings of Terra 2.
And that's going to work, without killing us in the process. I thought intra-system micro-jumps were prohibited for a reason.
Yes, there's always a risk of a catastrophic collision between the Hope and, say, Terra 2, in theory. But you'll be fine, provided your calculations are correct.
I've got a healthy disregard for personal safety, but this sounds crazy, even to me.
Your instincts are correct. By any reasonable definition of sanity, this plan is crazy. Isn't it wonderful? You'll need to switch on the Hope's auxiliary power using the Unreliable. Then head to the bridge. Your navigational computer, Ada, should be able to activate the Hope's skip drive. Once you've skipped the Hope next to my lab, I'll have easy access to the frozen colonists. I can start reviving them immediately. I know you're wondering why I'm doing all this. Why I believe the people on the Hope are the answer to the colony's problems. The Hope is kept. The board would have us believe Halcyon is beyond saving.
Can we talk?
If you don't mind my saying, Captain, Minister Clark is lucky to have you on his side. Captain, I hope Dr. Wells has not dragged you into one of his irrational schemes again. My diagnosis of his mental stability is not flattering. We have arrived at the Hope. I need you to reroute power from our ship to the Hope's auxiliary generator. You'll have to connect me to the Hope's comm system so I can convince her central computer to enable the skip drive. If your calculations are even slightly or the sun. The Hope is the Groundbreaker's prettier, sleeker sister. She wandered off and got lost for 70 years. But just recently was found. Also, there are hundreds of thousands of... Forgetfulness can be an early warning sign of asphyxia. I need you to reroute power. You'll have to connect me to the Hope.
Guess it worked.
You got that?
wants to scratch my name on one of those pods? Yeah, I figured. We gotta talk about this. Let's take it down!
Can you hear me, Captain?
Started!
Neither.
Alright, here we go! Everyone all right?
These were the private quarters of the Hope's former crew. Shall we hold a moment of silence for the dearly departed? No? That's odd, because my programming would indicate that when forced to confront the idea of self-death, organics prefer... Oh, I see. Yes, never mind.
I don't know if we should be in here, Captain. It should be private. Isn't it?
That's the Hope's computer up ahead. I'll admit, I am curious to wake him. Greetings, Captain. I am speaking to you through the Hope's computer system. It's a rather cramped feeling, but it'll do. Probably not, but don't let that stop you. Searching. Please stand by. Are you sure? That is extremely dangerous. Skip and also potentially kill an entire planet. Jump-starting the skip.
Worst ways to go out, I suppose. It's nice knowing you, boss.
Doing it. I mean, affirmative. Skipping the Hope in 3, 2, 1.
ADA, does your captain seriously intend to do a micro-jump in system with engines that haven't been powered in 70 years on a derelict ship?
That is what my captain intends, yes.
But that is a gross misuse of the skip drive. The Zero Point Drives Corp and I will not be held responsible for any damage incurred during transport, and this will cause extreme damage. You should not be doing...
Thank you, Hope. It looks like all systems are go. Captain, I would advise you to hold on. Oh, good. We are still alive and have successfully skipped into Terra 2's orbit. I reported as much to Phineas Wells, but he has not responded. Perhaps you should check in on him.
Hey, we made it. Let's do it again.
Captain, I am receiving a transmission. Captain, I shall now play the transmission I received from Dr. Wells.
The board is here. They've found me somehow. They're about to blast my door open. I can't stop them from getting me, and there isn't enough time to explain everything. But there's something very important you need to remember. The board, all their lackeys, they're all a bunch of swine. Do you hear me? They're fucking corporate swine. You fucking pigs! I'll take you all out with me! I'll never...
It would seem the recording captured some rather dire events. But how can I be of... I request you... Now arriving at Phineas's top-secret orbital lab.
Here I come!
Covering you!
Woo! We all in one piece?
Crew members Ellie and Max are engaged in a heated discussion in the kitchen.
Nicely done.
I believe I hear Felix and Parvati discussing the latest Aetherwave serial. Captain, as it appears we may soon be embarking for a maximum security prison planet, I believe the crew would like to speak with you to, as you human.
Those board goons kidnapped Mr. Phineas and hauled him away to Tartarus. How are we gonna get him out?
I'm not one for pointless heroism, but the board's gonna be after us next. We gonna finish what we started?
To extract the scientist, you will need to infiltrate the labyrinth. But that course of action is likely to be quite dangerous, Captain. I am programmed to warn you whenever you exhibit inclinations toward risky behavior. Breaking into Tartarus will not be easy.
Getting in is the simple part. It's getting out again that's the trouble. Trust me, I know.
Let's just do it. Kick down some doors, grab Doc Wells, and cut a path out. We don't need a plan. We got guns.
If you really mean to do this, you should see to your final affairs and close out any unfinished business. Once you sneak into Tartarus, you may be there a while. Or permanently.
It's the craziest... And I mean...
You didn't hire me to think. And I ain't about to start now. You're my boss. And I'll walk into fire with you.
I think it's insane. But maybe the colony needs a healthy dose of insanity right about now.
I know it's dangerous. And I won't lie and say I'm not scared out of my wits. But I couldn't live with myself if we didn't do something.
You're asking for more than bravery from us, Captain. But there are worse ways to go than dying for a good cause. I'm in.
Let Sam get the grime out. It's what our units do best.
The entire plan is a terrible idea, but I admire your bravado, Captain, which leads me to illogically believe, against the odds, that you will be successful.
If we don't make it, at least it'll be a great story.
Got my trusty tossball stick, got my ass-kicking boots. I'm ready, boss.
Outstanding.
You can count on us, Captain. We're crew. For real crew. That means we got each other's backs. Right?
Never thought I'd volunteer to break into a prison. Seems like your tendency towards risky behavior is rubbing off on me, Captain.
Command not recognized.
Waiting on your command, Captain. I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that the punishment for trespassing is execution. Please be advised that electrical storms on the surface of Tartarus make departure impossible at this time. Resident count is as follows: 3,071. Resident deaths, including but not limited to executions, are as follows: 1,684. Resident escapes are as follows: 0. The interior can be chilly. Take a scarf with you, Captain. I would also ask that you leave your Captain's ID with me, in the event that you do not return. Understood. If you die or are incarcerated for life, I can generate a new ID for the next... Oh, speak of the devil. Captain.
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a maximum security. You are hereby confined to your docking platform until a ticket detailing... UDL does appreciate. As a show of our protocol, the sentencing of one crime does not... Tartarus Docking Authority signing up... Wait, is that from the Groundbreaker? What?
Transmission terminated. How can...
Captain did right by us once. The board will never hold above, not while I breathe. Push on, Margot!
Everyone all right?
Stay down, hullhead. Groundbreaker doesn't need trash like you. Open fire! Open fire!
make it look so easy.
On walking into a prison. They lock me up, I'm liable to kill everyone trying to get back out.
They say nobody's ever broken out of the labyrinth. Didn't say nothing about breaking in, though. Lead the way, boss. I got your back.
Good tussle.
Mine's playing tricks on me. Huh? What was that?
Incoming, Captain!
Better take a look.
Incoming!
No
That's what you get! Heads up, jackass!
Someone's here. Keep your sights out.
Great work. Nicely done.
Let's dance!
Company ammo.
Incoming, Captain!
Nicely done.
Everyone all right?
on us.
Here they come!
Watch this! I'm the best there ever was! Jackass!
Find its weakness, Cap. That's the last of them.
Well, look who it is. I'll be damned. I was prepping, and I see you've brought the kid along. Babysitters may be expensive, but they're worth it, you know.
Yeah, keep talking, pal. I'll just keep thinking of a...
I knew I smelled Monarch when you lot walked in.
Keep talking, and you'll be smelling iron. I know...
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the face. I'll want it. My word! You've correctly identified the most recognizable man in the colony. Remark. It's a wonder what Phineas saw in you. Then again... Yes, he is an extraordinary... But that's between us. I've got work to do.
All right, MSI. I'm not worried. But the captain needs our help, so get in there and fight!
Here they go! Covering you!
Here!
Waste of company ammo.
Well... Yeah. I'm...
All right, MSI. I'm not one for rousing speech. The captain needs our help. Get in there and fight! Score, Cap!
Oh, that's the last of him.
Waste of company ammo.
Time to collect a fine bounty.
You, seem feeling jittery. Are you? Because I'm not.
Take a breath now, folks. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting.
Captain, you have an uncanny... You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. Do you imagine you're leading some grand revolutionary... The iconoclasts and MSI have put aside their differences and attacked the prison together. I never imagined such... You're nothing but a rabble-rouser. I'm going to put an end to your little rebellion. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. All that's left to do is put down this riot. Well, that's mostly correct. You're not leaving here. I wish you'd simply cooperated with me. You're the This prison is equipped with an automechanical... And don't worry. I will inform Dr. Wells that you died...
Great work. Nicely done.
Why won't you go? One all right? That had to hurt.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough. I'm all right, thanks to you. Akande wanted my cooperation. I'm quite sure she would have beaten it out of me if you hadn't arrived. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
Hold on, Doc. Are you telling me the Earth went dark 3 years ago, and the board's just been covering this up?
They've been incredibly effective at concealing the truth. Right now, the only people in the colony who know are standing in this room.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own. Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us? When I revived you, I thought you were going to help me save this colony. I was wrong. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. After returning to Edgewater, the deserters negotiated workplace reforms with Reed Thompson, including a single day of rest, which came to be known as a weekend. As the world around him changed, Thompson found himself pining for the old days. He was known to spend his weekends in the cantina, nursing one of the few remaining bottles of Zero-G, and repeating to himself, "It's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice." As for Adelaide McDevitt, she tended to her garden in solitude for another year before passing away. Her body was discovered some months later when Reed Thompson paid her a visit in an effort to make amends. Her remains were buried in a place of honor underneath the floor of the Edgewater Cannery. Reed believed this was what she always wanted. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Ellie savored her adventures on the Unreliable. Once they were done, she returned to life as usual, running missions of dubious legality, shunning respectable work, and living life to the fullest. She meant to reach out to her one-time captain, but she was always bad at keeping in touch. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless, unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself. She seemed to prefer the company of Ada to the crew, and she could often be found neck-deep in cables and grease, telling Ada funny stories from her childhood. While the colony fell into chaos, she found an island of relative peace with Ada, and they formed an unusual bond. She decided to remain aboard the Unreliable permanently as its chief and sole engineer. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.